The dead internet theory where everything is just a bot is beginning to feel like that's real.
There is a need for an authentic social media where the content is authentic and the people are authentic. I wanted an anchor for truth. Proof of personhood shouldn't be limited to a specific hardware. Anyone with internet should be able to prove that they're a person. So right now, generative AI, there's nobody accountable behind all these fake information that is being posted. I think that needs to change.
Going back to Denmark, do you think it's a step in the right direction? Is it something that other countries should follow?
So it's a different problem altogether. So
every day, the internet is getting a little stranger. AI deepfakes are no longer just a novelty. They're flooding our feeds, creeping into our news, and even impersonating people we know and trust. From scam calls in your loved one's voice to fake videos of public figures saying things they never said, it's getting harder and harder to tell what's real online. And frankly, people are getting sick of it. They're sick of the bots on X, they're sick of the fake videos, they're sick of not knowing who to turn to. And it's all happening online right now. That's why the biggest minds in Web3 are fighting back. One of them is Radha Dasari from the Web3 Foundation, an organisation working closely with Polkadot and other teams, building the tools we need to verify the human behind the screen, all without sacrificing privacy. It's a tough challenge, but today in this special CCN interview, we're talking to Radha to see why it might just be possible and just why the fight is so important. So yeah, can we just start by you introducing yourself and telling me a bit about the Web3 Foundation and the work you do?
Hi, I'm Radha Dasari. I'm the lead technical advocate at Web3 Foundation. Polkadot is our biggest project. We started it in 2018, and then Web3 Foundation has been instrumental in bootstrapping the project. So we're in the year 2025. We've done a lot of work with like Polkadot. I'm glad to share more about it in the context of today's interview.
Oh, brilliant. And I know we wanted to talk about Denmark advancing the landmark bill over the copyright of deepfakes. And I just kind of wanted to just to start off to get your perspective on how dangerous deepfakes can be. And do you feel like we've even seen their peak yet? Because it feels like they're getting more and more stronger and more hard to tell every single day.
Absolutely. I mean, to give you more context about my background, so I did my PhD in computer vision. So basically, I started my grad school in 2012 when the first deep learning paper got published. Mm-hmm. And then I've seen like it take over. So computer vision, which was like a field where you had to put your brain to come up with the techniques. Now it transformed into you feed in data, and then you train the model. You don't know what's happening inside. It's a black box. It just tells you yes or no, or So I've seen it like evolve over the ages. And 4 years back, I pivoted to blockchain technology precisely for this reason. I wanted an anchor for truth. So I was worried about the fakeness. How vulnerable we are to the fakes even back then. But today's technology, it has surpassed. I didn't imagine it would come this quick. So I'm surprised with the videos that I see online now. So I can't really differentiate between what's real and what's not. So yes. So very much it's been concerning me. And then for the past 1 year, I have been spearheading a few initiatives at Web3 Foundation to sort of counter this fakeness, which I'll be discussing more about.
Yeah. So can you go into, just before we dive into all of the Denmark bill, could you go into a couple of the things that you're working on at Web3 to kind of counteract and deter from deepfakes?
Absolutely. So there is an initiative. It's called Content Authenticity Initiative. It's spearheaded by Adobe, and you have all the big names in there, like Microsoft. So you have hardware manufacturers like Canon, Nikon, even the cameras. So the idea is that right at the moment of capture of the images or videos, you are going to attest certain like credentials to it. Okay, so right when the image is captured, you have information like where it has been captured, what's the timestamp. All this is good, but again, like they don't rely on a decentralized technology stack, right? So, and that is where they rely on cryptography, which is powerful enough. But adding this additional layer of trust with this decentralized technology stack is what I was trying to explore through Web3 Foundation. But yeah, so that's the main work. So content credentials are picking up momentum for exactly the same reason that we are today, like discussing about these deep fakes.
Yeah.
And I think provenance and content credentials will play a prominent role in sort of countering the ill effects of AI.
And how does a system like that kind of verify that a video, image, and audio clip was created by a human other than AI?
These are two different conversations, right? So one is, okay, so the moment the image is created and uploaded to the internet,
Yeah.
so you're getting to know whether the source is a camera or it has been generated through an AI model.
Got you.
So it is possible that, so because this is such an early phase,
Yeah.
even the regulators are at the table trying to understand, how to use these content credentials and then make them a standard. So any sort of proprietary AI model out there or any sort of open AI model, when it generates an image, it comes with a content credential saying, hey, this has been
Yeah.
created with an AI model. And from then on, each time you modify something about that image, you would again add to that content credentials. It's an incremental credential where you can prove the provenance. Okay, so on day one, this was created. On day three, this was modified, and so on and so forth.
So going back to Denmark, their proposed copyright. What do you make of it? Do you think it's a step in the right direction? Is it something that other countries should follow?
I mean, if you look at it, let's think of it from the the content economy perspective, right? So there have been like Hollywood actors who basically gave out their appearance, their face to train the models, and then without them having to act in the movie, they could literally use their face in there. So the way to like license the usage of your face image, like it's already there right now.
Yeah.
So using your data without consent, I think this has been a broader problem. It's not just your facial image, but a lot of the personal data that we use online, a lot of public information, a lot of companies sort of crawl through that data and then sort of train their models. So this comes into that framework, like, the data protection framework. So what Denmark has proposed makes sense because, I wouldn't want someone to reuse like, my public data to create something that I haven't given consent to. So this got me thinking, like, if there is a way in which we could set a content credential that says, hey, you can use this for like, training purposes, or no, you shouldn't be using it for training purposes. And that's where like at Web3 Foundation, we're trying to see how to make this seamless. For creator economy, there could be a way in which, okay, I can put my image, I can say, yes, you can use for training, but there'll be some form of micro payment that rewards me as a royalty for the usage of my data, right? So it's very much possible with the frameworks that we have right now to be able to, create a solution that addresses like the issue brought by this Denmark bill, as well as like, so it is possible right now with the technology stack.
Yeah. And have you worked on something called Proof of Personhood?
Yeah, so Polkadot has been spearheading privacy preserving proof of personhood as well. So it's a different problem altogether. So one is, okay, so my face, it belongs to me. It's part of my identity. So that's one thing. And proof of personhood is like, I'm just proving online that I'm a person, I'm a human. So it doesn't really have to involve me revealing my face data or anything, but somehow there should be a way for proving that I'm a person. So you can think of this as solving CAPTCHA. So these days, like the CAPTCHA technology, it's driving people insane because you're having to solve these puzzles at some time are outrageous, right? So they're getting really, really hard for people to even solve, because the AI is catching up so fast that you're able to, you're having to like solve all these difficult problems. So proof of personhood, I mean, the single immediate thing that it solves is you don't have to use captchas anymore when you're trying to access resources online. So it's mainly for spam prevention in a way. Like, so if you want to limit resources to people rather than these bots, then proof of personhood comes in very handy. Another big problem that you're seeing in social media is that there are lots of AI bots that are replying to a lot of the X posts, and it's getting really, really annoying at this point. So there is a need for an authentic social media where the content is authentic and the people are authentic, right? So we're coming to that point where we want to ensure these both. I think that's where proof of personhood and content credentials are going to play a huge role.
And I'm yeah, just to talk about the AI bots on X, it's absolutely insane. It feels like the dead internet theory where everything is just a bot. It's beginning to feel like that's real. I feel like it's really hard to find a real person on X when you're reading through them. It's really hard to tell which one's which.
Exactly. So X wouldn't want to ask each time, hey, solve this captcha to post a tweet, right? So there should be an efficient model of this proof of personhood, which is what like Polkadot has been working on. And it's not just us. Like there have been a lot of projects. So I recently went to this global digital collaboration conference. It's in Geneva. So there's a project called as First Person Credentials. So we are seeing this interest like across like the globe, like, different countries, different research groups are trying to tackle this problem. Early this year, there was this paper about proof of personhood from 20 plus like professionals who are across like different domains as well. So yeah, definitely the proof of personhood narrative, it's picking up momentum. So Polkadot has its own spin towards it. I mean, if you're interested to learning more, I can speak more about it. But yeah, so we do it differently from the other approaches out there.
Is Sam Altman doing his own approach, or with the World coin that's now just called World? Is that his own kind of spin on it?
Correct. So that's Sam Altman's like spin, which is something that we are trying to avoid. Like we think proof of personhood shouldn't be limited to a specific hardware device that one person or one company sort of like controls, or even if they've made it like open standard, it's pretty much not very accessible, as accessible as internet, right? So anybody at any corner of the world is able to access internet. So anyone with internet should be able to prove that they're a person just with the resources available through internet. And that's the kind of solution that we are looking at. But yes, like WorldCoin, yeah, you scan the iris. There's a way to preserve that biometric somehow. We have seen like biometric solutions, across like different countries as well. Yes, it can work very well, but again, like for onboarding like 7 billion people onto it's a huge challenge.
Yeah. And I guess with proof of personhood, will that relate then into just a slowdown in deepfake and kind of generative AI content for misuse on these social platforms anyway? As if social platforms kind of do the pickup right.
Right. So like I mentioned, so proof of personhood is solving a different problem. So generative AI, yeah, it's linked to images of a specific person with a specific like identity. So proof of personhood, maybe you can rate limit. So proof of personhood can do things that you're able to prove yourself as a person, and then you don't want to really reveal your identity. That's where like it sort of makes a lot of sense. So while doing captcha, you're not revealing your identity, right? So you're just proving that you're a person. A simple example is, so because I'm working in this field, I have this very specific example that I want to discuss. Like one is, so think of journalism, right? So people would like to cover like very sensitive incidents, like post those images. But again, like to prove authenticity, they might want to add content credentials to it, saying, okay, so this was captured at this date, at this location. So that gives the authenticity to that image. But the signer, the person's identity that is linked to it, if it is linked to someone that is traceable, that gives a problem to that person. So there should be a way to preserve the privacy and yet post that image and be associated with the organization like BBC. So all the journalists of BBC can like sign on behalf of BBC. But again, like BBC shouldn't share its private credentials to all of these people. Somehow they should be the owners of their keys, and they should be able to prove that they're part of like this big privacy preserving like group, but still a group that belongs to an entity. So we have such interesting implementations that can be done through the Polkadot's like privacy preserving like proof of personhood solution, right? So yeah, this is like a very under explored like territory. So at this point, it's all open to standardization in a way.
Yeah.
But yes, like will proof of personhood restrict people from posting this generative AI images? Yeah, probably not. Like these two are like different issues. So generative AI is going to be doing its thing, but just having the content credentials that say, hey, this has been produced through an AI model will make a lot of difference. So right now, LinkedIn already incorporated the content credentials. So there's a standard called as C2PA. So if you follow that, LinkedIn is going to show a check mark showing who produced it, who signed it, at what point of time this image was like first uploaded to the database or whatever. So.
Yeah, because I think that was my mistake. When we talk of proof of personhood, I imagine it's kind of the same thing as putting an ID online. So you're instantly not anonymous. And then in my head, that would make all of the trolls and the people kind of misusing AI kind of scale back on it. But yeah, there's going to be a way that you can do that while still maintaining your privacy and proving that you're a human at the same time.
Exactly. So you can have like reasonable levels of like privacy, and then you can still prove that you're a human. So you're going to eliminate all this AI generated like spam or like, bots by banking on like proof of personhood solutions.
Yeah. And what would adoption from major social media platforms look like? And what do you think the barriers are to getting there at the moment?
So let's talk about X, right? So the problem is more pronounced at this point. Now, X has this verified check marks. So right now, if you have like a subscription, you're paying like $10 per month or so, and then you get this blue check mark, which sort of has some entry barrier. You can't expect all the AI bots to be paying like $10 to post their stuff. So there should be a way to integrate like proof of personhood solution, a standard. If a proof of personhood standard becomes like widely adopted, it can be easy to expose that information through an API, which X could be using. And then you can build a lot of like UI features on top of it, right? So you could say, so now on X, you could say only people with like, check mark can reply to my posts, or only the followers that are verified or something like that. So that way you could say only the people with this proof of personhood like credential can interact with me. And that's one way to very quickly change the experience on like these social media apps. And you can bar all these, bots or accounts that haven't subscribed to this like proof of personhood.
Yeah. And how would one subscribe to a proof of personhood? Would it be as simple as clicking a couple of buttons for the user?
Yes. So this is going to take a little bit of time.
Of course.
So
that's fine.
So let's talk about like some of the WorldCoin is one way, like the World project. Like if a person has given their biometrics somehow, and then they have a device or a way to scan it, like immediately you're proving that you're a person without having to reveal your privacy.
Yeah.
Good. But there are also other ways. So other popular ways are having like a social graph. It's like encrypted social graph. So today I've met you for the first time. Okay, hopefully you're not an AI bot that is interviewing me. But so this has like a trust factor, right? Like, so the video interaction these days, I think also you have to take it with a grain of salt. Like, you can't really believe the other person you're chatting with is an actual like person. So if I met you in person, so there is a way we both could add each other, like, adding like a friend on Facebook. So instead of doing that on the platform, there will be a cryptographic graph where I add you to my network. So I have ways to set a label saying, hey, you're a professional connection, or if you become my friend, I could add you as like my friend there, different labels. And then I take this cryptographic graph to whichever application I want to use. Okay, so I can take this network, this connection that I've made to Facebook, looking like UI, and then whatever I post for friends, you'll be able to view them, like them, or interact with those posts. So I can take the same cryptographic graph to something that looks like LinkedIn, and then there you'll be able to see my professional posts, and then you should be able to like interact with them. So these connections that we are making in the real life, they need not be siloed on a specific app like LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram. You're recreating your network each time you're going to these different apps. And that's where like fundamentally the social media is broken. So it hasn't changed much since, Facebook launched in 2000 something.
Yeah.
So the model remains same. So we're going to think of it this way. Like, we'd like to see a decentralized social networking protocol that is trying to have these people connections embedded in a cryptographic graph, which could be put on a decentralized solution, right? So we don't want to have this data sitting on a central server again. This should be there just the way we are making real world connections. We make these connections and then we move this graph like everywhere. And then on top of it, you're able to build a lot of solutions, right? So you can create the creator economy. You can do proof of personhood. So there's an app called as Circles. So right now I have the trust from like 5 people on it. So the more people I ask to trust me, and then I trust them back, the trustworthiness of my key would grow. So that's one of the popular solutions that only requires internet at this point, right? So there's this. So it's preserved by cryptography, and then it's with like. So the more real connections you have, the more trustworthy your identifier sort of becomes.
Well, when you explain it like that, with all of the resources that the big social media platforms have, it's surprising that isn't just the main drive to sort. Why do you think that is? Why do you think it's taking so long?
So
Polkadot
has this parachain called as Frequency. So it's run by this project called as Project Liberty. So they from the USA. So they even tried to like acquire TikTok, like the USA TikTok app. It went through some issues last year. They were thinking of selling it. So Frequency is sort of trying to do something similar. They saw that social media is broken the way it is. I mean, there's a reason it is broken like that, right? So every time you go to a specific social media app, you're giving consent for them to process your private data somehow. So it's like so all the revenue that Facebook or TikTok or these are earning, it's purely through the user data, either the data that user is posting or either the data they're inferring from like the user behavior somehow, right? So by giving this power back to the user through this like cryptographic graph, it is letting go of a lot of like revenue that they're making like easily with this sort of system. So it's just a matter of time. Like, people, once they get to know that such a solution exists. And then if they see a lot of incentives posting their content on this kind of platform rather than on like YouTube's or like Facebook's, where they could set the permission saying, hey, you can use my data, but please pay me like royalty for using my data, or so you can share my video, but pay some royalty for doing so. So there is a way to onboard users onto this new way of like social media, reimagining like social media. I think there is momentum in that area as well. And exactly the issues that we've discussed so far is all leaning into that. Like people are tired about looking at all these like bots. They want like an app to talk to genuine people.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we're slowly going into that direction these days.
So where else have you seen the momentum? Have you seen any momentum from the social media platforms, or mainly just are you seeing momentum of people kind of wanting a change?
So I haven't seen the momentum in mainstream, industry yet.
Yeah.
But like always, only when it really becomes like their existential threat, they start to like onboard stuff. So it so happens that the personhood credentials like paper that I've read in 2025, it featured a lot of people from industry. Even OpenAI was part of it. So the think tanks of all those companies, they're aware, such solutions exist, and they will be, if this becomes like mainstream, they'll be finding ways to jump into it much early and find ways to like monetize it with the reach that they have. So Frequency managed to bring a social media network. It's called MeWe. So they're big in like California. They have about like a million like users. So there are social media apps that are out there that are looking into like Web3 solutions.
Yeah.
Trying to try this out with minimal like user distraction. So how MeWe did it is there's no wallets or crypto tokens or none of that like barriers. So behind the scenes, they create an account with email and password.
Right.
But behind the scenes, that account is linked to this cryptographic graph on like blockchain, right? So there's a way to swap the backend to this decentralized solution without the user ever knowing that such thing has happened. And on top of that stack, you could be building a lot more solutions. Like, you can improve the creator economy, you can improve the privacy features, you can even provide targeted ads. So right now, a lot of users see ads that are very irrelevant to them, but here they could set their preferences. So today, if I want to drink like red wine, okay, so I want ads on red wine. So I'm asking for those ads. So it is very likely that if somebody who posts the ad on red wine, I click it and then I sort of like benefit from it, right? So, and it's a win-win. So there's a lot you could design on top of this consent-based like, social media, where it's a win-win for both the parties.
And the work that you're doing, like, do you feel like is it a main driver for you to make it as accessible as possible? Because with a lot of these new ideas, as you mentioned before, it's normally wrapped up in, and it's brilliant, but it's normally wrapped up in crypto wallets, and it's hard to onboard a kind of everyday user.
Yeah, so I don't know if you've ever used like passkeys.
Yeah.
So passkeys, they're self-custodial, but you don't have to deal with all these crypto wallets when you use a passkey, right? So there are solutions that are trying to bring such accessibility to the users, where they really don't have to deal with all this 24-word like passphrases. Hey, if I forget that, like I'm gonna lose my social media account. Like it's not very clever by design. Like I think crypto and like blockchains in general, they have the steep like learning curve for a lot of people, so it's not very accessible. But you could deliver the Web3 features without having to change anything for the normal internet user. So if someone is using Facebook, you should be providing this app or this add-on to Facebook that's going to work exactly the same, but behind the scenes, it's going to fetch a lot of like value. So this is where we see traction coming. Like we don't want to deal with changing the behavior of users while we roll out these products.
And just flipping back to deepfakes, because I do want to ask, where can you see deepfakes being in the next 10 years? In the next 10 years with...
I mean, in the next 10 weeks, the time frame is low. Like, it's
Yeah.
already there. I already see a lot of my friends and even like my parents in India, like looking at these forwarded like images or videos on like WhatsApp and then thinking that it's true. It's
Yeah.
So my immediate response to that would be like, how are you going to like verify and validate whether it came from an authentic source, right? So I'm seeing the solution in the content credentials. So these content credentials are like labels that say your food is organic, right? So it's not, so there's normal food and then there's the food with like organic label. So it comes with a little bit of guarantee. There's somebody behind that information attesting it. You always know who to go to if something has been proven to be like, fake. So you could go to the entity that has signed it and then probably sue them, or you can hold them accountable. So right now, generative AI, there's nobody accountable behind all these fake information that is being posted. I think that needs to change. And I feel like Denmark, the discussion in Denmark is very apt. Like you should be able to hold people accountable who post, your a video with your face, like without your consent, right? So, and that has to be embedded within the whole online framework. The browsers have to support, examining the content data, and it should be a mandate for, all government or like, all these BBC kind of like institutions to put like content credentials to the data that they produce so that it becomes like a standard. And if somebody is posting content without them, then you could give it like a secondary treatment. So you always give high priority to the information that has content credentials. So even if generative AI models that we use, like all the mainstream ones, if they were to embed these credentials saying, hey, this was generated by AI with this particular prompt on this particular date by this particular user, or, so giving it some kind of provenance and accountability is going to sort of, even if somebody were to make a law in Denmark, like that's how they hold people accountable.
Yeah.
At this point, like it could be posted by anyone at any place. So.
And how are the AI models progressing with that? Has there been any pushback on them and any kind of sign that they're going to play ball?
So Adobe is trying to ensure like all of its AI generated like images or even like Photoshop or any sort of image editing that or video editing you do. So they're providing this content credentials API for, by default, you should be able to sign on behalf of your account. So a lot of like these companies where content creation happens have to be onboarded right from the hardware. So I mentioned like Canon, Nikon, Panasonic. I think all of these have joined the Content Authenticity Initiative, which is a good thing, if you ask me. So right when the image is captured, you have the track record of like that image. It's also interesting to prove the ownership, right? So let's say you're a content creator. You've created it using normal tools without AI. You created an image and then you post it there, and then someone else like tries to claim it somehow. You always have this anchor saying like, hey, this is my image. The image you created has a content credentials timestamp in the future. So there's always a way for you to argue in the courtroom and then sort of win the case with this framework.
Yeah. And just finally, is there anything that we haven't mentioned that you guys are working on that you want to give a shout out to that we should keep an eye on?
I mean, Polkadot is a big project, right? So we're like blockchain of blockchains. So we are this, we call ourselves like a layer 0 blockchain, where even Frequency, a blockchain that I mentioned earlier in this interview. So they are specializing in social media. So there are others that are doing an identity. So we have a ZK initiative coming up. We have Internet of Things. So we have a lot of like Web3 use cases. Polkadot is trying to sort of give the best user experience, best experience for the enterprises that are in there. And on top of it, we're also working on projects like Proof of Personhood, right? So yeah, I would say follow like what's happening in our space. It's quite easy. Follow us on like one of our major socials. We are very active on like X as well, and then keep track of like the advances. So early next year, there's going to be like a Polkadot app, so which features like this Proof of Personhood solutions, right? So there could also be some kind of like reward for someone who joins it early. So just this is to build like traction. So once people start using it, it's likely that it's going to become a standard. So let's see how it goes.